Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to remember to actually record this time. Turns out last time MCV TV didn't have the capacity to do the recording anyway, but this will be our first officially recorded RCC meeting in I don't know how long. So that will be nice to have up online. So that's the plan. I'm going to pilot the timekeeping for that. And so I can keep time tonight, but if we could get a minutes taker, that would be great.
Um,
And we do have the auto transcript, which does make it
Yeah.
easier.
Oh,
So
yeah,
if that
I'll do it again.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you, Kit.
Yeah.
That is something we should cover in a future meeting is
Yeah.
if we can get a better rotation on that going. I really have trouble doing minutes while I'm also leading the meeting. So
Absolutely, I get that. I totally get that. As long as I get otter and not have to,
yeah,
yeah, that's really good.
yeah, I will.
Plop it in and,
Yeah,
make changes and.
for sure. So I will, email that to you
Okay.
tomorrow when I get it from Duncan. Okay, so we have a quorum. I guess because we have some guests here, we'll just go around and everyone can share our names. I am Sam Pratt. I am the chair of the Richmond Conservation Commission.
I am Kit Emery and I'm one of the commissioners.
I'm Trevor Brooks,
Also commissioner.
also commissioner.
Bob Lowe, member.
Jeanette Malone, member.
And then members of the public.
My name's Bob Galvin, member of the Bolton Conservation Commission.
Rebecca Butterfield, we're working with the Master Naturalist Program.
Okay, excellent.
Dan Calc.
David
Calc.
Kelk.
Yeah.
K-A-U-C-K.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Always happy to have guests, especially from folks from the Vermont Master Naturalist Program. It's exciting. So we got a minutes taker. We got a quorum. So first order of business. Oops, I put that wrong on my personal agenda, but Duncan fixed it. So if we could get a motion to approve the December 9th minutes.
I actually didn't have a chance to look at them.
Well, you wrote them, so
I know.
You're good.
I didn't know if there was any corrections or not.
So yeah, you probably shouldn't
Yeah.
shouldn't make a motion just since you wrote them, but technically, I guess you can. I guess I'll make a motion.
I'll move them.
Okay, great. Thanks, Bob. So Bob motions. Can we get a second?
I can second. I wasn't a member then, but I don't know if that.
Well, you
matters.
are now. So
I am now, so I second.
You were at the meeting, right? So
Yep.
Cool. So seconded. Any comments or corrections for the meeting minutes?
Not from me.
Okay. Well, all in favor of approving the December 9th minutes as submitted, state your name and say aye. Sam, aye.
Should I?
Sure.
Okay, Kit, I.
Trevor, I.
Bob, I.
Jeanette, I.
Great. Okay. So unanimously approved. And then we will move on to any additions or changes to the agenda. Nope. Okay. All right. So I need to get my special timekeeping down here. So 4, 12. Okay, so we'll move on to update on RCC submission for the town report. Bob Lowe did a great job coming up with a draft for our submission to the town for the town report. Did folks get a chance to look at that? Bob, did you have any additional comments beyond the draft that you came up with?
Very little, and then Jeanette had some editorial comments. She can make a note if she wishes. I actually deleted reference in the first paragraph to it being a new time. It's pretty obvious that it's at 7 o'clock now as announced, so I don't think we need that. And I deleted. Well, I guess that's it. Otherwise, it's as I submitted. And then Jeanette, you modified it? You
Are
there?
you asking if I know how to find it?
No. You want to say anything about your edits?
No, I thought you did an excellent job and I just made a few grammatical suggestions.
Exactly.
But thanks so much for doing it, Bob. It's fabulous.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Bob.
It's been a habit.
That's a good habit.
Maybe a bad one, but who knows? So she would like that by Monday. So I would, if we approve, we don't even have to approve it, or at least in the past, it's never been approved. It's just been sent. Your choice.
I think we can just send it. I don't know if we need to approve it. I mean, folks had a chance to comment to you directly, and I think you integrated the comments that people had. So I think that we've all had a chance to look and, comment on it. So I think it's good to just send. So if you want to just send that over whenever is convenient, Bob, that would be great.
I can do so in the morning.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, well, I guess we will move on. We've got plenty to cover today. So,
Yeah.
we've got an application for a Rodenticide education event. Bob, do you want to come join us at the table with the microphone and then, sit wherever, and you can kind of do your spiel and we'll talk through things and take it from there.
Sure. Hello, everybody. Glad to be back at the table. And so, how I will go about this is I'll just go through the CRF application. I'll read a letter of support from a member of the Huntington Conservation Commission who wanted to be here but had a scheduling conflict, and then any questions or comments that anybody has, feel free to ask throughout the presentation. So, again, my name is Bob Galvin, member of the Bolton Conservation Commission, and we have been interested in trying to get together a number of community members in support of an educational event informing the community about the negative impacts of rodenticides to wildlife in Richmond and in the kind of just broader ecosystem that we all live within. So I will be asking this evening for $400 from the CRF. The project title is very much a work in progress. We need to come up with something that's more engaging and kind of snappy for the community. But right now, protecting Richmond's wildlife from rodenticide poisoning, just kind of straightforward. Again, the messaging of that will be cleaned up over the next few weeks. I'm applying, and then also Diane Reynolds, a colleague of mine from the Huntington Conservation Commission. So I have attended a number of
I doubt you can hear me. I think our internet is dead. I will probably have to reconnect. Can anyone hear me?
I can hear you, but I don't. Okay.
Okay.
We're back.
Can you hear us?
Bob, can you continue? You were mute.
Oh, sure. So Yeah, so I participated or attended a few rodenticide education events put on by conservation commissions in Greensboro and then also in St. Johnsbury. And in talking with some of the neighboring conservation commission folks and also just generally folks in this area, there was an interest in bringing a VINS presentation to Chittenden County. So the event itself, we're thinking will be free. It'll be open to the public, very much oriented towards kind of families, but really towards anybody who might be interested in wildlife. And the event will include a presentation from the Vermont Institute of Natural Science, a outreach employee of VINS named Anna Morris has been very generous with her time and with her interest in educating Vermonters about this issue. So they have already agreed to be a partner on this presentation. And if sufficient funding is cobbled together, they will bring 3 of their ambassador birds to this event, which again, in talking with the Bolton Conservation Commission, there was concern, or maybe not concern, but there was just an interest in making this event appealing. Oftentimes, wildlife education events can kind of struggle to get people from the community interested. And we thought that having some live birds to kind of tie this education work that we're doing to actual birds. Some of, the birds in Vince's care have been negatively impacted by rodenticide poisoning. I don't expect that, all of the birds will have that direct connection, but we really thought that having ambassador birds would be a bigger draw to the community. The program will also give some practical and viable for the community alternatives for rodenticide poisoning or, rodenticide application. Maybe I should just back up a little bit and talk about rodenticides themselves if that's of interest. But basically, rodenticide poisonings are ubiquitous on the Vermont landscape. You most often see them in those kind of black plastic boxes that you see at the outside of many businesses, many schools, etc. So these rodenticide poisons are widespread in Vermont, and they have very documented negative impacts on wildlife. And not only rodents who you would, naturally think would be the target and the most poisoned group of animals targeted by these poisons, but there are a lot of secondary effects to the animals that eat the rodents. And so raptors, owls, bobcats, actually, Vermont Fish and Wildlife recently gave some testimony to the House Agriculture Committee that upward more than 95% of the bobcats that they tested had rodenticide presence in their system. So we have information that these poisons are widespread on the landscape, that they're impacting species that are not the targeted species, and there are alternatives that we can use to mitigate this impact on the landscape. And beyond impacts to wildlife, there are impacts to small children as well. These incidences haven't happened as much in Vermont, but nationwide there are too many instances of young children picking up these poisons that are often attractively disguised for rodents. So they're bright, they smell, fruity, and so there is a negative impact beyond wildlife into our communities as well. So the event itself, we're thinking will be hosted at the Richmond Library. The Richmond Library has indicated interest in partnering on this project, so I'm working with them to see kind of what that partnership looks like. But all that is to say, whether or not we partner with them or not, they have had VINS ambassador birds in their space. They're okay with with that situation. So moving on to the project's significance and relationship to the Conservation Reserve Fund. This project, this educational program, advances the CRF's purpose of protecting wildlife, preserving environmental quality, and providing settings where children and adults can learn directly about the environment. Specifically, the specific criteria that I think this project hits: preserving and restoring biodiversity by reducing wildlife mortality, supporting healthy predator populations that can contribute to natural rodent control, promoting stewardship practices that protect Richmond's rural character and quality of life, and supporting town plan goals related to conservation, education, and natural resource protection. In terms of the schedule for the project, we're thinking this month we will confirm the venue, the speakers, and the project partner organizations. In early February, we will be developing educational materials that we'll hand out at the event, and we'll also kind of have posted online for folks who can't make it. And we'll begin outreach in February with our Conservation Commission partners, and then also with several environmental groups who will help to kind of disseminate this information more broadly into the surrounding community. And then hopefully in late February or early March, we will host the public event and distribute materials. In terms of partners, currently we have on board the Bolton Conservation Commission, the Huntington Conservation Commission, the Vermont Institute of Natural Science, and then we're hoping to also get the Richmond Library as a partner, and we also hope that the Richmond Conservation Commission will partner. And I do also just want to say that even if the CRF proposal doesn't work out, we would really love to have the Richmond Conservation Commission's support and would love to partner with you all on this event. So it's 100% not contingent on the funding. We want to work together. And also just a plug, if there are other events, issues, etc., that it would be helpful for our neighboring kind of conservation commissions to get together on. The Bolton Conservation Commission is all ears and would love to partner, collaborate, really anything that would be of assistance. So appreciate the work that you're all doing and would love to plug in as much as we can. So in terms of the financial information, so we're thinking that the project budget is going to total roughly $677.50. We're hoping that the CRF can provide $400 as an allocation. And so thinking about the use of funds, I'm so sorry. Yeah. I got some updated information from Anna Morris at VINS that has a higher program and mileage fee than I had put on this this proposal. And part of that, the Bolton and Huntington Conservation Commissions have already signed off on some of that funding. So the Bolton Conservation Commission at our last meeting approved $177.50 towards this event, and the Huntington Conservation Commission also approved $100. And so for the $400 that we are requesting from the Richmond Conservation Reserve Fund, $250 of that would go towards part of the program fee and mileage for the Vermont Institute of Natural Sciences employee. We're really hoping to give some sort of small honorarium to Anna Morris at VINS because she, has just spent a lot of her own time and energy interested in this work and helping with this work. So hoping to give her just a little token of appreciation. $50 for just some, finger foods. And then this $50 for the rental fee of the Richmond Library may not be necessary, because in partnering with the library, that fee would be waived. So, and within the last few days started connecting with the library, so that's why this information is reflected there. I apologize for having that there. And within, the CRF guidelines, there's a statement that we will maintain financial records, and then we will document and submit them to RCC, the Richmond Select Board, or whoever needs that documentation. And then thinking about long-term plans, hopefully this event will be kind of a catalyst for other rodenticide education events in Chittenden County. And I just think it'll be a cool opportunity for multiple conservation commissions to get together and kind of interface with the public about an issue of shared concern. I personally wish that there was more of that, and it's just hard when we all have so much work on our plates and we kind of tend to be siloed. So I think that this will be hopefully a scaffolding for some other events, and hopefully attendees will kind of get excited and maybe be interested in hosting or bringing one of these presentations to their community. So I feel like I have talked a lot. So that is the rough overview of the project. And real quick, just want to share a short letter from Diane Reynolds, one of the co-chairs of the Huntington Conservation Commission. And she says, "Hello, commissioners. I'm so sorry to not be at this meeting tonight with my partner in the Bins Rodenticide project, Bob Galvin of the Bolton CC. I have to attend our regularly scheduled Planning Commission meeting. The Huntington Conservation Commission is thrilled to be able to support this presentation. We have wanted to do something for our community about rodenticides for quite a while, and now we have a great presentation almost at hand and have committed $100 to bring it to pass. It's a great idea to partner with our Tri-Town CCs, as rodenticide poisoning knows no boundaries. The poisons are wreaking havoc with our natural predator species, bobcats, foxes, owls, hawks, etc. Being indirectly poisoned by their prey food is a hugely sad happening. VINS is wonderful with the public. Families will love, with kids will love to come to this kind of presentation with the ability to possibly see a live owl and a live hawk. This kind of event is organically effective in our efforts to create change. Thanks so much for considering our proposal, Diane Reynolds." And with that, I've talked for too long. So any questions, comments?
Bob, all very well said.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And what are folks thinking? Does anyone have any comments or questions about the request? Bob, I think you're muted.
I think it's a terrific idea and we should go with it. My only issue is, what do we do about the $50 for the library? Is that necessary? And if it's not necessary, does that mean Richmond's contribution is $350?
I think that is a good way to move forward. And if there is any other, if there's any weirdness, or the library decides not to formally partner, then we will figure out a way to address that extra 50. So they're happy to reduce the request to 350.
Well, I think we can state up to 400 in our request to the select board, and then if you figure that out and you're tracking the receipts and whatnot, then if it comes in at 350, then you'll get 350, and then or you'll reimburse. I don't know exactly how that works, but there's precedent for this where a project, if it's under budget, it's not like the excess just goes to whoever planned it. So
Right.
I don't think that's really a concern.
My only issue there is whether the select board is used to having a charge for use of the Richmond Library. Is that
Well,
an
maybe.
issue? Has anyone does the library charge such a fee?
Yeah, when it's not, something that they're partnering with. I've
Then
hosted
leave it.
events at the library.
Then I'd
which
leave
is-
it. then I'd leave it. And if they happen to partner, all the better.
Cool.
Great.
That sounds like a plan.
So I noticed in the application, you've got a breakdown for the $400 that you're requesting from the Richmond CRF. I'm curious what the other $277.50 that's been contributed by the Bolton and Huntington Conservation Commissions is being used for. It sounded like some of these are shared costs, like the program fee and mileage and stuff. But I just wanted to clarify since the breakdown just shows like the Richmond portion.
Totally. Yeah. And I can follow up with more detailed information. But yeah, the program fee itself is $527.50
Okay.
with the mileage from VINs and with the bringing of ambassador birds. So it's, yeah, we were thinking that the money contributed by Huntington and Bolton Conservation Commissions would go towards that, and
Got
then kind of the remainder would be in their request.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know if, to me, I feel like, I guess, before, assuming this is approved and we kick it over to the Richmond Select Board, that it might be more clear if we updated it, or if you updated it so that the funds show that full amount.
Totally.
Because then that way it's fully transparent in terms of like how all the money is being spent. Because if it was like, oh, well, the other 277 is going to a Bob Galvin administrative fee or something, then, that might not. So that's something that might come up in the select board meeting. So I would just change that to show the full amount. People can do the math and see like, okay, yes, this equals $677.50.
I'd be happy to do that, and very good point.
And then I'm assuming the breakdown for the funding was decided based on, size of town and conservation commission. Because Richmond is a bigger town with a bigger conservation reserve fund. I don't know what the situation is with Richmond or Bolton, but I'm assuming that was the logic there.
Yeah. Bolton's ability to spend funds on conservation is significantly more constrained than Richmond. We have something like a $500 or $600 kind of yearly budget that we're allowed to move around, and so that was kind of the pot that we used. We didn't want to use the fund. Yeah, members didn't want to use funding for the whole year in case other events came up.
Yep.
So yeah, that was kind of the thinking around it. And again, like, I'm also sympathetic to Richmond not wanting to pay, significantly more. So if there are,
I think it's fine, honestly. I was just curious. I mean, I don't really think it's an issue. Trevor.
Because of the Mountain Club prior one with spending money and using stuff in Bolton and like that whole issue, I looked it up like by best in population, and so like ours using the 400 is like 59% of the total ask, which our population based on the 2020 census of the three towns combined is 56%. So it's pretty close.
Okay.
So like we're like pretty, whereas Bolton's is 26% for their portion, but their population is only 17%. So like really ours is fairly close, just population wise. Because I know that was like, that might come up with why is ours more. And I was like, well, I'm just gonna look at population because that's just a simple thing to look at, see where that lands. And I was like, seems pretty close.
Especially if we ends up costing $50 less because
Yeah,
using the Richmond Library. And I'm assuming that maybe I shouldn't assume. I don't know what the relationship is with the library, but I would think that if the select board is approving this and you have RCC's support as well, then it seems like the library would be more likely to want to partner because
totally.
yeah, it's like, oh, I don't know like how the library operates, but it feels like it's just like us moving money around within the town. So I would think that would be waived. I have one last question, which is just kind of a funny question. And I'm assuming you've thought about this, but are birds allowed in the library?
Well, yeah. And that I very explicitly asked them because I feel like, the ambassador birds are a key part of the, appeal of this event. And yeah, they said that they've had Vin's birds inside of the library, outside of the library. They are, they just need a copy of Vince's insurance certificate and then they're good to go. And they independently were like, we're interested in this, let us know more information. So my sense is that they're excited about partnering, and we'll only be more excited if the Richmond Conservation Commission also is bought in.
Great. Jeanette, sorry, you're because of the color of your screen, I didn't see the yellow
That's
hand.
okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. Well, first of all, Bob, thanks so much. This is really incredible what you've put together, and I'm in full support. And I think it checks all of the criteria boxes for CRF funding easily. I've worked with the library on various events. I used to organize an Earth Day event. And if you don't get to this in February or March, I'd encourage you to maybe do it in lieu of Earth Day in the library. It's on Wednesday this year, and I know the library's open until 8 o'clock on Wednesdays. So maybe that is how we could see this as a partnership with the library, using the big room when the library is already open. It's also logistically, since I've done a lot of programs through them, easier to do it when they're open. I was going to also add that if the library's excited about this, maybe they'll put together a corner in the library with some educational materials in advance, for Earth Day month, and maybe with a highlight, and there's where you could share some family-friendly information about the effects on an ecosystem. Yeah,
Great
I
idea.
think you're right on with trying to keep this inspirational because it's such a disturbing topic. And I think people would want to come and leave feeling motivated and inspired to do what they can in their own backyards. Yeah, I would like to make a motion if we're ready.
I'm good. Yeah, I don't have any further questions.
Okay, so I think this is the first time I've made a motion. Do I say my name first?
Or
just make the motion and then,
I think you make the motion, and then we know who's making the motion, and then it'll enter. We'll get a second, and then we enter discussion, and then we'll vote. And we'll just follow Robert's rules for that.
okay. I move that the Richmond Conservation Commission recommends select board approval of $400 from the Conservation Reserve Fund for a public wildlife education event on rodenticide impacts as the project meets CRF criteria for wildlife protection, environmental quality, public benefit, town plan consistency, cost effectiveness, and long-term conservation value.
Great. Is there a second?
I'll second that, 100%.
Okay, seconded by Kit. And I guess we'll open things up for discussion. I know we've already talked a bit. Bob, you're muted again. Bob, you're muted again.
I would suggest saying an amount not to exceed $400.
Yes.
I would recommend that we say that this is a public presentation at the Richmond Free Library so that it's clear that it's here. And I would definitely say that this is cost shared with the Huntington and Bolton Conservation Commissions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. I think those are all good additions. Jeanette, do you want to type that up real quick and we can modify it, or do you want to send me the motion and I can adjust it slightly? Because I think we want to make sure we're clear on the actual language of what we're voting on before we vote.
Yeah, could I send it to you afterward?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you
No.
can send it to me afterward, but I think we'll want to just reread it one more time before we vote.
Okay, so the first point you made, Bob, was about using the library.
Public presentation at the Richmond Free Library. Just tells where it was and helps the select board decide it's a good idea. And then the second was cost shared public second was amount not to exceed in terms of the $400. And the third was to indicate this is cost shared with the Bolton and Huntington Conservation Commissions. Make sense?
I think so. It's hard to talk and write at the same time. So I think Jeanette has it. Just give her a second.
Okay. So let's see how we would do this. Okay, so I move that the Richmond Conservation Commission recommends select board approval of not to exceed $400. Is that correct, Bob?
Let's say of funds, maybe of funds not to.
Funds from the Conservation Reserve Fund for a public wildlife education event at the Richmond Free Library on rodenticide impacts as the project meets the CRF criteria for wildlife protection, benefit, town plan, and all of those other things I said before. The public presentation will be cost shared with both the Bolton and Huntington Conservation Commissions. Is that better?
Yeah, I think that's good. And
I
we
can
can write out.
I can email it to you.
Yeah, so we can vote on it. I think we all understand the motion, and then we will, if you can send me that after the fact, I can get it to Kit, so Kit can put
Yeah,
the motion
that-
in the minutes, so we have it written down, and that's what will also get sent to the select board along with this slightly with the app that Bob sent us, with maybe the minor modification of changing that one numerical value from 400 to or 277 to 527.50. So yeah, so we're all clear on the motion. So I guess, is there any further discussion? I think you can only really make one adjustment to a motion before you need to vote it down and then start over. So I guess we'll just go ahead and take votes. I'll start. Sam, aye.
Kit, I.
Trevor, I.
Bob, I.
Jeanette, I.
Excellent. So unanimous approval.
Really good.
Well, yeah, very grateful. I'd be happy to join folks at the upcoming select board meeting to make this case if that would be helpful. And then also, is there somebody who is interested in kind of, or multiple people interested in, coordinating the nuts and bolts? We're myself and Diane are happy to do that, and we would love any buy-in and input from you all. Again, knowing how much is on everybody's plates, don't want to pressure anybody. But yeah, if there are folks who want to help plan this event, we would love to have you. So feel free to reach out afterwards. Or yeah, if anybody is like really raring to go now, we can loop you into the coordination process for this.
Okay.
Yeah, I think why don't you send, well, I'll send a follow-up probably with the motion and I'll coordinate with you because we're requesting that you make a slight modification to the application.
Right.
I'll get together the language, like the motion from Jeanette, and then we'll get that over to the select board. So then we can coordinate. I think because of the timing, we can probably talk about this again for a few minutes next meeting.
Okay.
In the meantime, I'm happy to coordinate with you because this is likely to be a smaller group of folks that are coordinating with you. We don't necessarily need to like vote on it, or so we can basically. I can follow up after the meeting, and then anyone who's interested can connect with you directly on coordination. So we don't necessarily have to do that in the meeting. I will say, if possible, it's great if you could be at the select board meeting when it hits their agenda, because I will
Absolutely.
remind you that the way that the Conservation Reserve Fund applications work is that like the RCC is not the applicant, you are the applicant. So it's helpful when the applicant is there to answer any questions. They have denied applications or deferred them in the past when the applicant has not been able to make it. So your chances of getting funding approval is going to greatly increase if you're there. And then hopefully somebody from the Conservation Commission will be available to back you up and answer any further questions. I don't know when it's going to happen based on their current schedule, but I'll try to make it. And if not, maybe somebody else can.
Perfect.
So that's helpful.
Yeah, and I will definitely make time to be at that select board meeting.
Okay, yeah, usually they're Mondays. Like I think it's every other Mondays, and it just kind of depends on how busy their agenda is, right? If they've already filled up their next meeting, then it might get pushed out to, the next one after that. But
Totally.
but yeah, so it'll come up soon though. Great. All right, well, we should move on. We're a little over time. Thank you so much,
Absolutely.
Bob.
Yeah,
Looking
deeply
forward
appreciate all
to
of it.
working with you on that.
Thank
Okay, so I'm just gonna keep track of my time here. 10. And yeah, so moving on to the A&R state wetlands rules. We talked about this last time, and folks had a chance to get some comments to Bob about the
sorry, John Cart.
whoa, awesome. Did that just pop up?
Yeah.
Thank you for pointing that out. Hi, John. Thanks for joining. Okay, so yes, A&R state wetlands rules. Yeah, we talked about this a bit last time, and folks had a chance to comment on this. And Bob, once again, thank you for your work here to lead the charge on writing up a document on behalf of the Conservation Commission to comment on this.
I had not made much of a change. There's reference in item number 4 to vernal pools. I have deleted that because it's really got to be wetland focused.
Got it. Okay.
Otherwise, Jeanette has made some nice editorial comments and changes. I don't know whether she wants to make any comments.
Thanks again for getting the ball rolling and pulling it together. And it's nice that we're not doing it last minute. And I really appreciate that about you, getting things on our radar with ample time to pitch in.
Just so we're clear on the final version, do we want me to put it up on the screen? Like, do we want to quickly review it, or are we comfortable with what we've seen in the past and that the corrections that we have submitted are on the most recent version?
I'd like to correct something.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So Bob, is it possible that you could send me the most recent version that you have, or either if you could share your screen, or I'm pretty comfortable with sharing my screen and live editing. So if you just send me a version of that document, I could pull it up, share my screen, and then we can all look at it together. We've been doing that with the ACFC meetings, and it's worked pretty well because then we sort of have a collaborative way of working on a document together while we've got the quorum, and it's,
I can do that. Is it not true that it was already posted for the meeting?
It is. The one that I have is a PDF. Maybe I have the.
Oh,
You had
you want it as a Word.
as a Word, and you had mentioned that you'd removed the vernal pool.
Yeah, let's see what I can do. I will pull myself aside and try to send.
Hopefully that only takes a second. I guess we'll see. I'm going to join the meeting in the meantime, so I can share my screen.
You don't need to admit that's me, but I want to change it off my wife's. Cancel that.
I think I just sent it, Sam.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna refresh my inbox here. Oh, yep, perfect. Yeah, give me one sec. I can pull that up. And
The only changes I know of from what I sent you all before are again in item 4. I've deleted reference to vernal pools, so you will not see it in the edition that Sam's about to post. And then the only other changes are the editorial comments by Jeanette.
which were, Jeanette, do you want to remind us what the editorial comments were that made it in?
They were really just grammar
Okay.
related. Yeah.
Um, and then,
Correct.
okay. And then Trevor, you said you had a comment as well that you wanted to make?
Yeah, I think I emailed it to you.
Oh, okay.
So rewrite for number 6.
For number 6.
Since
Okay.
number 6 was mine and I didn't want it to be a question.
Okay, got it.
I think when I wrote it to Bob, I was like, this is like what I'm thinking, and I didn't, I guess, intend it to actually be a question. I want it to be more of a statement,
Got it. Got it. Okay.
which I think I emailed it to you. The thing I put in parentheses is like maybe put that in or leave that out. I don't know if you have my email or not.
Yeah, let me just check. Uh, yep, I see that. Closed. This.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, vernal pools, as far as I understand, is a form of a wetland. And I'm not sure why you would take them out. I think it's a legitimate concern.
The issue is legitimate. It's just that I have in the past put them into 2 different bins. You're right. There are wetlands that, well, I guess there are wetlands that have vernal pools. It depends a little on how you define a wetland, but I'm perfectly willing to put it back in. I mean,
I suggest putting it back in. I know the guidebook that Fish and Wildlife and uh, Liz Thompson wrote, Wetlands, Wildlands, Woodlands. Vernal Pools has its dedicated own chapter to describe it as in the wetland section of their guidebook.
I can add those back if you want. It was just that one sentence that got removed, right? Oh no. What I wanted to do. So that would get added back.
Yeah,
And
and
then,
maybe not use the word there. So vernal pools not mapped are vulnerable to rule changes, and amphibian spring migrations would be jeopardized.
sure, yeah, just remove there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I think pool is a type of wetland, so it doesn't hurt to add it in. And then statewide impact. Yeah, Trevor had a comment to rephrase this. Here's the before and the after. So, is everyone cool with that's before, and what's bolded underneath is what we'd be replacing it with.
Whether or not you want the part in parentheses in or not is
Um,
I decided more direct versus the any kind of that I had originally put in there.
yeah, maybe we don't need that.
Yeah, I
but,
don't think that was my after. It's like I don't think we need this. I think it just makes more sense to make it a statement than a question.
yeah, I like the rephrasing. Does anyone have any problem with that, or can I go ahead and update that?
fine by
Okay.
me.
Okay, great. Cool. Okay, so this is Yeah, I guess is there anything else that folks have for comments, or are we ready to just to ship it?
I don't have any on this, and just the wetland rule change in general. So that's what. So this does like affect Richmond. I don't remember like if I heard correctly that we I think at one point we didn't think this did affect Richmond.
Yes, you're correct.
Okay.
So, yeah, the map that was published, there's an interactive map that the state published
Yeah.
that basically showed town by town what zones, would potentially be affected.
Right.
But they only flagged stuff with known wetlands, with wetlands that were published on the
Right.
like the state database.
I just mean like I meant for like because it only affects in the town water and sewer district essentially. That's like the main. That was the first thing that when they first put the rule out,
Yeah.
like the first executive order was it was only tier 1B, but it seems like the new rule is everything.
Okay.
And so that seems to be a modification like that. It seems like when they pulled back the original, like we're just going to do this.
Yeah.
And they put it out for public comment. They just applied to all housing. But then I can't really tell exactly. I didn't really see the actual. Does it only apply in tier 1B possible areas? Because then the interactive map, it looks like they only overlay the like downtown area of Richmond that has water and sewer
Yeah.
as potentially able to use this. That's what I was trying to. I didn't really know if we.
Yeah, I'm not certain, but I think regardless, even if it doesn't affect Richmond, like if there aren't any mapped or unmapped wetlands in the area that would be affected by the executive order, I think it still is a nice, letter of
I think at someone's like this doesn't affect us. So like coming from us as independent, we're not really affected by this. It's like it doesn't. We don't have a fight. Like we don't have something like vested interest in this thing. Like as someone said it at some point about this versus like, but I think we do. Like it does affect us.
yeah,
And we do have an area, and like I just think broader scope that the state is seemingly going to use tier 1, 2, and 3
Yeah.
classifications for land for then implementing rule changes. So unless the local zoning rules are written in a way that we want to protect things that are not then going to be protected by the state, such as wetlands, which in broadly in Richmond zoning are undevelopable, but there's no mechanism within zoning to actually have them looked at.
Mhm.
And we've been relying on the state
Yes,
to require that.
Yeah.
Whereas if this moved forward, anything that's not
currently mapped.
currently mapped as a class 2, you can build on top of it.
Yes.
So I feel like if that's something we may want to consider bringing up in the future as a topic to discuss, whether we want to look at whether the zoning issues that we may
Yeah.
want to propose.
Yeah,
Like,
that
if
would
that's a
probably
broader
be
issue.
Yeah, that would probably be, I don't know, maybe even like next iteration of the town plan, because I think the town plan usually like informs the zoning
Right.
regs, which then would affect what we're talking about. But I think it's definitely a good topic for us to talk at a future meeting. I think regardless of whether or not it's going to affect Richmond, if it
Right.
does, then it makes sense for us to comment because it affects us.
Yeah, I think
If
it matters.
doesn't
Yeah,
affect
either way
us,
we should comment.
then
So
it also is I think it's a strong statement to make to say like this doesn't affect us, but we feel strongly enough that we're
Yeah.
still commenting regardless.
I just think we may need to prepare for like more changes state
Yeah.
level that are then going to be, and if our zoning, like, because while the new town plan would direct us to actually try to address this,
Yeah.
the one that would then be voted on town meeting day, so that is in it. But like, I think we should maybe prepare in the future, like, as a commission, we might have to look at this kind of stuff, and then if we want to actually push, like, take that on as something to then propose to the planning commission
Mhm.
to act like, do something with it
Yeah,
to handle the natural resource areas and things we're trying to protect.
yeah,
Especially if the state is going to like just broadly implement things that we don't have ourselves covered locally, then we aren't gonna have any protections for the things we might want
yeah,
to protect.
yeah. I think that's a good item that we could talk about in the future. I think that it's related, but since
That
we're
made me think of it, so I just wanted to
yeah, for
mention it.
sure. No, that's good feedback, and I feel like it's a good action item for a future meeting.
Yeah.
When we'll
That
have
was
time
it.
to
That
talk
was-
about it. No, I appreciate you bringing that up. Okay, so we made those couple of edits. Are we feeling good about this and comfortable having this version be what we send? Do we care? I mean,
I'm comfortable. It's not clear to me whether we have to send it this evening or we have until tomorrow. First comment. Second comment, Sam, do you know where to send it?
I do believe I know where to send it. There was I think it was just an email like listed on the
Right.
state site. So, and I think it probably makes sense for me to send it since I'm the
Yes,
then I can just CC you all.
yes.
Just
So-
like accepted until January 14th.
Yeah, so I would like to send it immediately after this meeting, like maybe before I even leave the building or maybe as soon as I get home, because I don't want to find out whether or not it closes tonight at midnight or
Yeah.
tomorrow at midnight. So, I think that we should send it as soon as this meeting is over. So I have this most recent version now, so I can basically just I can just send this over on behalf of the committee right after the meeting. And I don't think we need to vote on this, but we can. I mean, I think much like the town plan thing, it's like we've all agreed on this version,
Yeah.
and so I'll just send it unless there's any, dissenting opinions. Okay. Well, I'm gonna assume that since nobody has any issue with that, I'll do that right after this meeting.
Sam, I have two addresses. One is Wetlands Rulemaking Comment at Vermont.gov, and the second one is Misty Sinzigali at Vermont.gov. You have both of those?
I believe I'm not
Okay.
looking at right
We're all
now.
set then.
I believe I had seen two email addresses as well. So
Yep, we're all set.
I'll send it to both.
Yep.
Great. So, let me just get back to my agenda here. This one. Then we're at D6. 10. Okay, yeah. So next up, Conservation Reserve Fund renewal. So another thing, Bob's been on fire, staying on top of all the various items that we need to keep up with. I don't think that much discussion is necessarily warranted here, but I figured I would put it on the agenda so we could at least touch on it. See you, Bob. Thanks for coming. The town meeting day is coming up, which is when the town, votes every year on whether or not they're going to approve the Conservation Reserve Fund. In the past, it has been voted on with a pretty clear margin, of support. So I don't think we need to really do much here, but in the past, we have talked about sort of documenting all the things that the RCC and the Conservation Reserve Fund have been able to make happen in the community. So I don't know, Bob, did you have thoughts on this? Since you had originally reached out, I think your opinion was that we probably don't need to do much here. But I figured I would just throw it out to the committee in case anyone has any strong feelings about whether or not we need to generate some kind of statement to defend the Conservation Reserve Fund to the voters of the town.
Where would we put the statement?
Historically, we have been asked to be available for the public meetings before town meeting to discuss it. Judy has done that routinely. Apparently, there's very little turnout, but nonetheless, I think it's important to be ready to do that. Two things have come behind that. Number one is a PowerPoint show of a few slides, which summarizes what the fund is, what it's been used for, and what we're requesting. Together with that is an informational packet that mostly actually Brad Elliott has produced each year, which just simply updates the numbers and the map locating things. The question is, should we do that again?
Do you know what those meetings are and when they are?
You'd have to ask Josh. One of them, I believe, is the night before town meeting. I
Okay.
believe there's another one, but I'm not sure. Maybe John Cart knows. I recall there were two. Judy would know when she gets back.
Okay. So it's just kind of like it's just sort of like a forum where folks can ask about various items and
Right, right. And as I recall from what Judy has said, issues had not come up before.
yeah.
So we had all this prepared and ready to go, and I'm glad we did, but apparently it wasn't terribly necessary. Doesn't
Okay.
mean it won't be this time.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I guess I'll reach out to Josh and ask him about what the timing is on that, and then hopefully I'll be available to attend. And if not, I guess I'll see if anybody else is. I'm not too worried about it. I feel like I'm pretty comfortable speaking to it, but I don't think I have that PowerPoint. So if I am going to attend, I don't know who has the most recent version. Was it you, Bob, that you had generated the one from last year?
Yes, but you can't use the past version. It's updated every single year, and I shall see to it that that gets done in the next few days. And then the other thing that gets finished off is the information sheet that Brad has been in charge of, and I'll see if he can do the same.
Okay, that would be fantastic. Yeah, thank you for doing all this.
It's
If there's anything I can do to help, I'll get that updated.
it's pretty straightforward. It's a question, for example, of listening to things that were done last year.
Okay, great. So yeah, if you want to work on that, and then are you
Sure.
going to reach out as well, or do you want me to do that?
I'll contact Brad. We've been working together before on this. Maybe that's simplest.
Okay, great. And then meanwhile, I'll reach out to Josh to get the timing on the meeting, and then I'll let you guys know if for some reason I have a conflict. Jeanette?
I was going to ask if have you been the person who went to the meeting before
No,
town meeting?
no.
Judy?
Judy, oh, okay, so would you want to do that?
I wouldn't actually, but we'll see. And maybe Judy would. I don't know.
I'm happy to do it if I'm available, but yeah, I appreciate all the support with the materials because I don't have that information at my fingertips. So
Right.
I
No, that'll all be done. And parenthetically, relative to another agenda item tonight, I believe last time it was posted at our website.
okay. Great. Okay, so I guess I'll coordinate with you, Bob, on that
Yep.
stuff.
Yep.
And Chelsea's here.
Yep. Yep.
Great. Okay. Well, that sounds like an excellent plan. So we will go ahead and move on to the next item. We have the butternut tree study. Get my timestamp here. Turn
Yep.
trees. Yeah, so this is not an actual CRF application, but Josh reached out to me on behalf of I'm bringing up the email. I think her name was Kylie. Yeah, Kylie Roth, working with the Morton Arboretum about studying butternut trees at Overrocker Park in Richmond, which is town-owned land. And so yeah, I included the email thread and the application or the I guess context regarding what they would like to do, or what they've done, in studying other butternut trees. And it seems like a cool opportunity. And Josh had requested that the RCC weigh in on it. And so I figured because of the timing, it would be easy enough for us to do in this meeting. We can talk about it for a few minutes and then make a decision and, pass that along to Josh. I will note that Caitlin Littlefield, the tree warden, has already weighed in and thinks it's a great idea.
Yep.
So does anyone have any thoughts on this? I mean, I can give a little bit more background. It was all in the packet items that were included. So I don't necessarily need to read through those because that would take a few minutes, unless there's any specific parts of those that people are unclear about.
I thought it was very strong, needs to be done. What I
Yep.
don't know is where it might lead. I suppose in the end, we might fund something local, but not at the moment. This
Yeah.
outfit is where, in Illinois somewhere? It's a pretty well-known outfit. The Morton Arboretum.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I was not familiar with them. Harvard. Oh, okay. Oh, nice. Excellent. So because we're, I guess, making, I guess a formal recommendation, do we want to make a motion, on this item? I think
I-
Jeanette, yeah, you
Yeah, I
had,
have one ready if you think it's necessary.
I don't think it hurts. So yeah, why, if you've got one already prepared, then why don't you, read it off and then we can just, yeah, make it a vote.
Great.
Okay. I move that the Richmond Conservation Commission approve the proposed Butternut Research Project on town-owned land as it conserves a threatened native species using low-impact, science-based methods.
Great. So Jeanette made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second that.
Okay, Kit seconded. Any discussion? Okay, then we'll go around, state your name and your vote. Sam, I.
Kit, I.
Trevor, I.
Bob, I.
Jeanette, I.
Okay, great. Easy peasy. Okay, so I will pass that along to Josh, and Kylie and I guess Caitlin as well.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. We're making a little time back here, which is good since we were a little bit delayed. Next up, we have the Watershed Grant Program. Judy had sent an email to us, which was really just a copy of the press release that I included in the agenda. And it's that the Watershed Grant Program is accepting applications. And I'm not sure what the timeline is on this, but the press release was from a little less than a month ago. So I imagine we've got a little bit of time, but we've got watersheds in Richmond, so I figured it was worth bringing up to see if anyone had any good ideas for projects that we might be able to apply for. We've got our conservation reserve fund, but it's also great when we can find other funding sources or matching funds for projects. So yeah, I figured I'd throw it out there and see if anyone had any thoughts on projects in town that we might be able to use this for.
I
And
have
if-
an idea.
Go ahead, Jeanette.
I've talked to Susanna who wants to tackle Phragmites near her home, Lily Pond. And she's with the Vermont Master Naturalist crew. And it seems like this is an amazing opportunity um, for them to be able to tap these funds. I would be in support of that.
Yeah. Do you think so? Yeah, there are three different category types. There's education and outreach, planning, assessment, inventory, monitoring, and then on the ground implementation. I guess this would be potentially both education and on the ground implementation.
Mhm.
I mean, I guess it's kind of all of them, right? Because I guess we would be taking an inventory of non-native plants that we're trying to eliminate and replace. I'm assuming that would be part of the plan, is not just removal, but potentially replacement. I know what a big problem Phragmites is. I will admit that I have no experience in removing it, so I don't actually know what that process looks like.
Mm. I don't know as well, but it seems if we could just get this on their radar, that at least it's an opportunity for them. They have until February 4th.
Okay, yeah.
I'm happy to share that with that group to see if they're interested and maybe help them out with writing a proposal. We've also talked about, we're going to talk later on about the RFP to hire some professional help to deal with big scale removal projects, and if we may want to have some matching funds if we're going to be seeking CRF funds, and this is a source. What do other
Yeah.
people think?
I think that's a great idea. I don't know. I guess I don't know whether or not these grants are for if they do partial amounts. I don't know how much it would cost, like how big the Phragmites issue is, and if it would need the full, $6,000 or $10,000 grant. I wouldn't expect that patch would need that much funding, but yeah, I think it's a great idea to to try to at least apply and see what we get back.
Is there a cost share requirement?
That's a great question.
I would certainly endorse doing so as needed.
Let's see.
Yeah, let me see.
Protecting, restoring fish and wildlife habitats, protecting, restoring water quality and shorelines, reducing phosphorus. How much?
It just says you can apply. It's just a grant. Sure.
Yeah,
Seems like.
it doesn't. Yeah, it looks like they just get all, they get all their applications, then, they have a committee that reviews them and sort of like, scores them and then awards the grants to the ones that scored the highest. So, it does have like on the Vermont Fish and Wildlife Department page, it shows like some of the specific examples that they have. I think that leaning into education, not just not just the remediation and like the on the ground implementation, but leaning into both the like as an education opportunity. So I know we've got some interest with folks with the Vermont Master Naturalist program, but if there is an effort to remove it, I think it would be a really good opportunity to try to see if we could get some community engagement. I mean, Jeanette's been fantastic in helping coordinate some of these weed pulling parties in, my neighborhood and in Southview. So I think that would be one good way to make the application stand out, because I don't know how many people are going to apply for this. I mean, there's only $80,000 total. And it looks like they're, dispensing this in, $6,000 or $5,000 to $10,000 chunks. So that's, probably less than 16 projects that are going to get funded across the state. So anything we can do to, basically adhere to multiple criteria, I think would be great. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if we need to necessarily do this like as a committee, especially considering the deadline is before our next meeting. I think our next meeting is on the 10th. So Jeanette, it sounded like you were interested in sort of leading the charge on that. Is anyone else interested in coordinating with Jeanette? I'd be potentially interested. Bob?
Isn't Susanna going to be involved?
Sounds like it. Is that so, Jeanette? That you're going to work with Susanna?
Yeah, I'll reach out to her. I know she's got a very full plate as a new working mom, so I will reach out to her, and it seems though we would need to put our heads together about having a special meeting. Is this true? Before February 4th?
Who's
If we
going to
decide to
apply?
pursue this?
If we were going to do it, as a conservation commission, yes, but not necessarily if you wanted to just work with Susanna and, or whomever, as long as, if we have less than a quorum, then we don't need like a specially warned meeting. So it's possible to do it without a special meeting.
Would we be applying? I mean, who's doing the application, I guess? Because I think it says that you can't have individuals, state or federal agencies can't apply. So it has to come from local, regional government, nonprofit, citizen groups,
Gotcha.
municipalities.
Well, it sounds like it might
So I don't know who the other person is. Like, if are they a group? Or like, I mean, like, can they, or do we need to be the ones to actually apply for it?
It's a great
as the
question. Local and regional sporting clubs, nonprofit organizations. I mean, water-related citizen groups, I guess.
I just don't know I don't know this.
Yeah, it's a good question. It might be helpful, I suppose, if it was submitted by the Conservation Commission. I guess maybe that would lend it a little bit more credibility. So I think that we need probably a little bit more information first. So my thought is maybe Jeanette, do you want to sync up with Susanna to get thoughts? And then I don't know, I'd be potentially interested in helping at least with the beginning steps of trying to come up with a application. And then maybe that gets kicked back to Susanna and or the other folks in the Vermont Master Naturalist Program, if that's a project that is of interest.
Yeah, I'll follow up on that.
Okay, sounds good. So I guess if for some reason we feel like we need to do a special meeting, then we can coordinate, I can send out an email, but I don't think that will be necessary, but I guess, I could be wrong. We've done this before where we had like an online only meeting that lasted all of 15 minutes where we voted on something. So it could be that if this is something that we have a good shot at applying for funds for, that we want to have a quick sync up before the 4th. But I think we need a little bit more information from Jeanette first.
This is
So-
due the 4th of
Yeah.
February.
5 p.m. Applications are due no later than 5 p.m. Wednesday, February 4th, which is 6 days before our next meeting.
I'm not quite sure what's involved in terms of writing an application, but I would be scared to death to think something really meaningful could be done between now and then. I think the timeline is too short, but
Well, I said maybe it's probably too short for Richmond Conservation Commission to, be the applicant, but it could be that maybe, if folks are excited about it and want to submit, like a citizen-led, project. I mean, a water-related citizen group, I mean, being part of the Vermont Master Naturalist Program, that is an organized group that could be focused on, a water quality project. So it doesn't hurt to submit the application and say, we're going to pass on this one, but, it might get awarded the grant, so it doesn't hurt to try.
I think it's a great opportunity. I just don't know if it's the art of the possible. Does this come out every year?
Yeah, that's my question. I don't know. Does anyone know?
I don't. Judy was the one who sent it along, so she might have the most information. I mean, I could try to look up historical press releases.
There's projects from there's like 2013 through 2019 project list with like 15 projects per year.
Okay.
They're broken up, and it seems like we've been doing it probably like 30 years or more. I don't know.
So yeah, I know there's a lot of funding like this that comes out yearly, and it tends to vary. So some years it's more and some years it's less. And I don't know what all the inputs are for that, but sometimes I think there's some sort of input process where they decide where they want to allocate their money. And so I don't know if $80,000 is a lot or a little for this type of thing. This seems like the kind of thing that might be yearly, but I'm not entirely certain.
It looks like it. I just don't know. Maybe they didn't update their list of prior projects since 21. Because they have on the site, they have lists of all the stuff they've approved and how much they approved them for.
Gotcha. I think even if this is yearly, what's the worst that can happen if we apply? If we try to, if Jeanette wants to coordinate to apply for this, at the worst, we're just gonna learn a thing or two about writing one of these applications, and then maybe we try next year.
The application is 3 pages, like the one they have on their site, so it's not.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how much they expect you to fill in or extra information, but I think it's worth doing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think for now, it sounds like, Jeanette will coordinate with Susanna, and then we'll reach out to the committee with more information if necessary. But it may be that this all happens, just between Jeanette and those folks. But I'm interested, Jeanette, so if you at least want to keep me in the loop, I might be able to help.
I think there's also a very important longer term positive here, and that is starting right now, getting our ideas together on how we want to do these things. And so this is a very good way to, whether we apply by the 4th or not, to get our ideas started and so that we can have something ready to go.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
big value.
I agree. We have a lot in the works right now that is just getting up and off the ground. And I think we're going to learn a lot in the coming year about what our financial needs are. We'll be in a better position next year to apply because removing invasives, for instance, and maintaining them is not a one and done. It's an ongoing work.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is just another good opportunity for us to get, to get organized and figure out how we're going to tackle these projects. And we've made a lot of progress, and I think a good plan is taking shape for us to be able to tackle this stuff more efficiently. So hopefully as time goes on, this will get easier because we'll have a good process for doing it without having to kind of start over. Because we've had I feel like we've kind of restarted this conversation a few times over the last few years, but I think we were really starting to hone in on a nice process for how we can tackle some of this stuff without wasting time. I think that's a pretty nice lead in into the next item on our agenda, which is, sorry, I'm doing timekeeper duties as well here. The Rewild Richmond initiative that Jeanette's been working on. I mean, there's a lot here. Tie-ins with the Vermont Master Naturalist Program and updates there. Richmond pulls together and how that's going, and then also this plan for basically having an RFP template for various invasive removal projects for medium to large scale. So Jeanette, would you like to lead this section because you are the mastermind and you've been doing such great work on coordinating all this stuff. And so I think it would be great if you could sort of lead this section and let us know what you're thinking.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Nice.
Right now, there aren't any specific projects in the works as far as the small scale neighborhood early detection approach that we've been experimenting with. I think we should devote most of this time to hearing from the folks who've joined us. I believe they're in the room. To hear what they've come up with. The ball has been in their court as far as kind of taking the description we came up with earlier that they chose to figure out how it best fits their skills and their interests. So I'm really curious to hear what they have to say. Maybe we could start with their presentation.
Nice.
Great. Do you want to come join us at the table? Sorry if I should have flipped the agenda to put you guys on earlier. Sorry to make you guys sit through the whole meeting.
You should go closer.
Because it's in, you can't see the back. You're all alone over here.
That's okay.
So Jeanette has shared with us a lot of information on Rewild and Richmond pulls together.
Yep.
So we're basically right now we're a team from the Vermont Master Naturalist course of 4 people.
Okay.
And it's a 5th person who I guess will join us later. We're not really sure. So that includes Susanna that you've mentioned, Jeanette, and so Susanna and another team member want to work on the Phragmites in Lily Pond to deal with, how do you bring the community, the neighborhood together, helping to educate people about the problems of Phragmites expanding and sort of getting a vision of what it would look without Phragmites. So just sort of what does your ecology looks like now? What might it look like if you do nothing? And what will it look like if you do something to get rid of the invasive? And then what can you do to manage it? And I think it does involve herbicide, no matter what you try to do, it's going to involve herbicide.
It's gonna involve.
Herbicide.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so David and I have a property on Hillview Road, and we're already dealing with a lot of invasive species. We've been dealing with wild parsnip along the roadway, and we could do further mapping because we're just working in our property and the property across the street, but I don't know how much is on that Hillview Road. I don't think a lot, but it'd be good to map it. We're also been dealing with honeysuckle and buckthorn on our property, which I think almost anybody has
Yep.
plenty of that on their property. Our honeysuckle had bark on it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I think we have Phragmites also on our property. And so it's very small patches, but I think it would be worthwhile to map it along the watershed, the stream that comes through our valley that goes down into the Huntington River. Our stream doesn't have a name. It flows year round. But we don't know, with other properties where it exists. So I think mapping that, and I don't know what the RCC is doing in terms of looking at mapping apps or different means of mapping, but that'd be something we could help test or explore
Yep.
with RSC. So we could do the mapping of the parsnips and the Phragmites. And we could also use our property as a demonstration plot if that's needed to show people what you could do, what works and so forth. We've had a lot of success with what we've done so far with honeysuckle. And we'll be tackling buckthorn soon.
Yeah, that's great. You said you're on
Hillview.
Yeah.
Hillview. Okay, not
We're
Hillside.
on Hillview Road. We have 23 acres. We are immediately adjacent to the Owl's Head Blueberry Farm.
Oh, okay, great.
We are immediately downstream from the
From them.
Blueberry Farm.
And we have
Our
other
prop-
really large landowners as our neighbors,
So
like 200 acres.
a substantial part of our property is riparian habitat. It's on the federal wetlands map.
Oh, okay, great.
So, and we have neighbors who are interested in this. We know that the folks who own the Blueberry Farm are also working on managing their
Riparian,
property.
yeah.
We're also, our property is unusual. Where we live is unusual. What's beneath us is sand.
Okay.
And we pulled the well records, and in drilling the well, they drilled through 80 some odd feet of sand before they hit schist.
Okay.
Okay. And
So we were in inland delta.
we're in basically, yeah, it's an inland delta from the times of the glacial lakes.
Yep. Okay.
So it's in terms of, so we're really interested in this, in the soils, in the forest community that we live on, and how it's affected by being substantially a wetland, but also the soils are different than that. And they're not unknown, but they're not all that common. And so we're interested in sort of getting a better understanding of that forest community and then mapping these invasives.
Okay, great.
And working with our immediate neighborhood on that.
And I'm assuming Jeanette has shared some of the Richmond Pulls Together strategies and some of the initiatives that we've had in other areas in Richmond on the northern side. So it sounds like you guys have a relationship with your neighbors, and it sounds like they're interested. So
Some of them.
yeah, so I mean,
I don't think it's going to be quite the same neighborhood approach because it's very large landowners and 2 of them are absentee. So it's more sort of pick and choose. But I think part of it is knowing, we don't really know what the invasive map looks like for that sort of valley and watershed. And I
Gotcha.
think that would be important to figure out as a starter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I heard Reese actually yesterday, there was a forum here that WNRC was running, and they were mentioning that apparently other conservation commissions, like the Waitsfield Conservation Commission, has really gotten into mapping. And I think they got some assistance from the UVM Ecological Planning Lab to set up like GIS maps. So we've been doing a little bit of research into programs that we could use for, citizen-led efforts for mapping. And the trick is a lot of them seem like they're just sort of publicly available where anyone can map anything, right? Not just invasive. So I only heard about this initiative through the Waitsfield Conservation Commission yesterday. So this is new to me and I haven't had a chance to reach out, but it sounds like a promising way that we could potentially maybe spin up our own Richmond GIS map specifically for invasive species that then we could share with the public and get like a community-led mapping effort. So it would be really, I don't know how much effort went into building the Waitsfield map. And I think that I would need to get a little bit more information from Kurt Lindberg, who's the chair. But if we could get something like that set up, it sounds like, having a place like your property where you're interested in mapping would be a really good sort of starting point and example.
Small valley and a small watershed, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, might be a good test site.
Yeah, and could also, help teach people how do you even do this, right? Like if you're trying to do GIS mapping of invasives, like what does the process look like? Because
we don't know what the level of problem is, right?
yeah.
And that would feed into, say, if you're looking at a grant next year, if you've got some mapping out there and you can really, identify the scale of the problem and how you want to attack it, it's got a lot more meat to it.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, depending on how, I don't know, how quickly we can potentially, move on the organizing and maybe applying for this grant. One of the three categories for the grant was planning, assessment, and inventory and monitoring. So mapping sounds like perfectly within that category. And it could be that's something that would be really great to include in an application, because it really seems like it hits everything, education and outreach to get people more interested in this stuff, and to show people how to map and take care of the invasives, planning, assessment, inventory, monitoring, and then on the ground implementation. So it really seems like it hits kind of all the criteria. So it seems like maybe the timing here is pretty fortuitous, and that with the deadline approaching, if we can come up with an application then maybe we could even get funding. I don't know if it costs any money to build one of these GIS maps, or if it's something, because it sounded like Waitsfield Conservation Commission has been working pretty closely with UVM. And so I don't know what resources UVM has been pouring into the project, and if this is something that any town can just build their own GIS map without any resources, or if there's a cost associated with it. But if there is a cost, it seems like, the grant might be able to either cover it or at least contribute.
I would guess that it would tie into an IDRIS system or something that UVM has, right? So whether they want to have help paying for that system or not, but I would think that it would tie into, a GIS system that they have on hand, and then how do you feed the data in?
Yeah, so maybe the scale of this would be beyond just, there's your property. It sounds like there's also the Phragmites at Lily Pond, which is
I think they need to map the bigger watershed around it, because water's flowing into the pond, and that's the species is spreading that way. And then it also links to other ponds, and then eventually the Winooski. So
Gotcha. Okay.
you would want to look at the water flow. Yeah.
Sam?
Yeah, Jeanette.
Do you want to follow up with Rebecca and David on this possibility of seeking funds from the grant for this purpose? Specifically, figuring out what Waitsfield is doing, and maybe if there's a cost associated with it, then we could take it from there.
Yeah, I think that the first order of business, is I need to reach out to Kurt and see if I can get in touch and get more information about, what that process looked like for them, like what the timeline was, if it cost them any money, And, if I can get some of those answers, then, then we'll have some of the inputs for the application. I guess my question is, do we want to do one application that covers all of Richmond? I mean, because like a mapping effort would be something that we'd be trying to do community wide. And I suppose it does affect both wetland and non-wetland areas. So I'm curious, I guess, what people think about whether or not we want to limit it to, Hillview and Rebecca and David's property, or if we would want to say like, hey, we're going to shoot for a full, Richmond wide effort. And we're going to start by focusing on, problematic invasive species in wetland areas.
Well,
I
I'm
guess I don't.
inclined to focus on one experimental property
Yes.
and then go big.
We
If it
need a
works.
poster child, and I think we have it. The only extension I might suggest is possibly also doing the Andrews Forest, but I wouldn't go beyond that. And I think I like Jeanette's idea. Let's start small. Let's figure out how to do it and demonstrate we can do it, and then we're ready to move forward. I would urge again that we get in touch with Caitlin Littlefield. This is exactly what she did for the ash trees. She walked around with an app on her iPhone and mapped everything and put it right into GIS. This is not magical stuff.
Okay.
So-
yeah, go
It'd be
ahead.
good to know what do you need in order to submit an application? Because here we are in the dead of winter and we have our observations, but we don't have,
But we can't map at this
we
point.
can't map and we haven't systematically gathered data. We walked a large part of our property and we're working on getting rid of invasives. We know we have them. But between now and what is it, the fourth?
The
Fourth
fourth
of
of-
February?
They're not asking you to map, they're just asking to say what you're gonna do.
Uh-huh, okay, well,
So
Yeah.
let me add one more thing. There is a whole nother fund available all the time, anytime. It's called the CRF. And if you should put together an application, doesn't have to be the fourth. It's a good target to get started, but send it to us.
all right.
Yeah, that is a great call out. I think that something that we've talked about, and I think that both for this statewide application and for the Conservation Reserve Fund, part of it's about the way that you're pitching it, because I think that we've talked about this before and we haven't really come to a conclusion on whether or not we are promoting or entertaining CRF apps for private land, because traditionally I don't think that the Conservation Reserve Fund money has been intended for use on private land. I personally that if you can make a case that it's a public a public good. So to back up, if we're talking about the spin or like the how we're pitching the application, if it's specifically around education, it's less about we're removing and identifying invasives on this private property, and it's more about we are testing a new system for how we go about mapping and and taking care of the invasive species on this specific property. And then it might make it even easier in a sense because with private property, you guys are authorized to use, herbicides, for example, if you want to, versus I'm not sure about on public lands, be different, So I know that for herbicide application for things like, glyphosate or like triclopyr, you need to be the landowner to be able to to apply those. Otherwise, it starts to get, you need a license and, there are more hoops to jump through. So that might be a case for having the poster child for this project to be on private land and not on public land. So I don't think it's out of the question that this could be something that you apply for Conservation Reserve Fund funding for, but I will say I don't think that there's much precedent for private for applications on private land. But I'm totally in favor of us using funds for that purpose. We just need to have like a conversation about it. And I don't know, maybe we need to ask Josh or like the select board about that. Bob?
Sam, your initial comments there, I think, are right on. We have a town-wide problem. We want to try to solve that problem. We need to start somewhere. We need a pilot study of an area in jeopardy that we're going to fund and export what we learn to townwide projects. I think it's pretty logical to go ahead and do it.
I would add to that that we're working with the Vermont Master Naturalist Program. So
Right.
it's a collaboration. It's not just a private landowner who's seeking support.
Also, I think mapping efforts are more than one property, right? Mapping efforts are in the
Sure.
watershed along the road.
Yeah.
You do management might be private property, but the mapping is across.
Yeah, it is, because of course, if you manage on your own property and all the properties around you are not managed, then suddenly you end up with the same problem and you can never really deal with it.
That's why,
Exactly.
that's why we're looking at the stream for the Phragmites.
Yeah.
And then the, for wild parsnips, it's the road mowing that's
Yeah.
spreading it right
Yeah.
on the road.
Yeah.
What are the
Oh.
Sam, I just want to do a time check. I know John Cart has joined us to help us with the next part of this conversation. But I'll let you move us along. Not.
I would love John Cart's comment on this conversation.
Hi everyone. Sorry I wasn't able to join a little earlier. I missed the initial part, but if you're talking about a project to control invasives, I think that's wonderful. I think in most mixed woods, you're going to find invasive species. The extent to which you need to map all that, I think is less important than picking some places and working on them. Particularly if you're gonna, well, there's probably a couple levels of things. You may have some volunteer projects where you're going and picking and removing things, and maybe you want to flag plants there. If you're hiring professionals to do it, they will map the hot spots as they go.
I think what's exciting about your project is that it could be a demonstration site for other landowners in town. And we've never done that before. And, it has huge educational value.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I think that I think it's promising, and if we can get things together in the next 2 or 3 weeks, then we can also try to shoot for that wetlands application as well. And if that doesn't happen, then there's still opportunities for CRF funding potentially, but it's a good way to sort of kickstart things and get things rolling.
Well, in light of what John just said, are you planning on hiring professionals to come and help you map?
We're already in discussion.
Not mapping so much as eradication for the buckthorn and honeysuckle, which I don't plan to map because it's everywhere. But for the elimination of that, and then I'm hoping they can help us with the Phragmites. We have very small patches, but we don't know actually what's in the stream bed all the way up Hillview. We don't know what that looks like. So that would be the mapping. I think the mapping would be the parsnip and the Phragmites, not the buckthorn and honeysuckle, which is everywhere.
But we've been in contact with a wetlands person
Yes,
for this.
to help us, yes.
Yeah.
So John, were you saying that whoever comes is going to automatically be putting it on a map?
Generally, when these folks are working, they've got a GPS thing running, and they'll maybe hit, mark hotspots as they go, but they're going to map where they're working through the, through the forest. Roadside parsnip is a different story that you can, just drive down the road and
Yeah.
go by
exactly,
mile
yeah,
markers.
Right. That's easy.
The sporadic Phragmites, boy, if that's working its way up through Hillview, that's, that may be stuff to map and because it's probably in more discrete patches, but I haven't walked up there in a long time.
Yeah, I have no idea what's there except for what we see in our property.
Mhm.
One
Yeah.
portion of our property and,
We haven't seen all of it, yeah.
we haven't, our parts of our property are surprisingly remote, even though we live along the road.
Anyway. But if you can share once you talk to a mapping person at UVM, I'd be happy to join the conversation.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'll reach out to Kurt first and see if I can, just I also have a contact at the Winooski like conservation district, that he was the one who told me about the project in Waitsfield. So
Okay.
I can reach out to those folks and then see if I can get more information about how they went about doing that. As soon as I have that information, then we can talk about
Okay.
what the mapping plan would look like, and then hopefully we have enough information to come up with at least the beginnings of an application for.
Yeah, a 3-page application doesn't seem too tough.
No, probably not.
Like word limits, 100 words for
Oh,
each
yeah,
section.
okay,
It's not
yeah,
super
not too tough.
long. The last page is your just like cost. So it's really not.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think that's a good plan for that. I think that's an exciting project, and it's always great to hear about more folks in town who are excited about working on this stuff, because as Jeanette knows very well, it's like, we've been trying our best to try to bring people in, holding events, bringing refreshments, like trying to work with our neighbors to drum up some more interest. So it's really encouraging to hear that you guys are interested in this, and also willing to potentially serve as a example that we can learn from. So
Yeah.
hopefully, this seems promising.
Good, thank you.
We should exchange contact information before.
I
Oh.
sent him an
Oh,
email.
yeah,
We are.
okay.
Yeah.
There's openings on the Conservation Commission also.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thanks for your patience. I should have
No worries.
designed the agenda slightly differently. I think it was the second or third meeting that I've been the chair for, so I'm still sort of getting my sea legs, so to speak. So should we move on to the RFP portion?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think that I'd love to have John take the floor and share his thoughts about what should be included and how to go about this part of it.
Oh, I'm not sure where the committee is at this point, but I'll just say, if you're interested in, as I understand, an RFP to get some professional help with invasive plant control, is that correct?
Yeah, so basically the plan here is in coordination with the Richmond Pulls Together program, where we're trying to identify various scales of problems. So you've got the small and early detection stuff, which we've been trying to organize, education events around. We can just get some community involvement and take care of an entire issue, just with volunteer efforts. Then we've got the medium and large scale stuff, which ultimately we're going to need to hire, professionals to take care of. And so the idea with the request for proposals is to have basically a stock template specifically designed around removing invasive, species from, different plots around Richmond. So essentially, we've got a lot of it all built out already. And then you basically just pick, the location, and you pick the species that we're targeting, and you pick, the time frame and whatever. So we basically fill in all those details, and then we have a way to easily generate these RFPs. And hopefully we have success. We'll try a few, and hopefully both, the select board is would approve them. And if those go well and we can show success, then maybe we can continue to sort of move about town and find new areas that we can, target and remove these invasives for. So that was sort of the idea, was to build an RFP that could be used to generate RFPs more easily than having to build it out, from scratch every time.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds fantastic. I'll just say, any one place that you pick it's a lifetime of work. I mean, or at least many years before it could get to the point where maybe it could just be handled by a few people going through it a few times a year. But if you're just beginning, if this is just beginning, I mean, I think I would encourage the community to think about putting out a general RFP and seeing what sort of proposals you get back. Saying, you can pick an area or two and say find out what different professionals would recommend doing before you start getting too prescriptive. And then you can start adjusting the RFP template to better meet your needs. Because at least that would be my suggestion, because they may, different folks may say have different strategies for it. Some may be better set up to also work with or integrate with the community-based control work that you do. And so you'll learn a lot just by the initial conversations with some of these companies.
Yeah, and so there are a couple different versions of RFPs that were attached in the packet.
Yeah.
And they take similar approaches. One's a little shorter and one's a little bit longer, where we try to cover some of that stuff, which includes, like scope of work, which might include, monitoring and follow-up. So basically we'd send out the RFP, and then there's the bidding process. So whatever businesses would be interested in the job would, let us know, well, here's how we would normally deal with this. And, here's the timeline, we would expect to come back, every year or every other year or. So, yeah, I mean, these are just sort of initial drafts on some of the thoughts that Jeanette and I had about, okay, what are some of the things that we would be looking for in this RFP? So the plan, like overall, is to sort of like, this can certainly be an iterative process. So we could come up with our sort of first version of the boilerplate RFP for invasive removal, and then we could try it out. Let's say volunteers green with bindweed, and we fill it out. We put out, an RFP. Basically, the first step, I guess, if I back up a little bit, is that I think that we'd want to agree on what RCC thinks is a solid, boilerplate RFP. And then I can take that to Josh and then say, hey, does this make sense? Is this consistent with town policy and like how we can, move forward with this? And then I don't know if we would necessarily need to take the boilerplate RFP to the select board. I think we would just fill it out for a project. And then there would be an application to have, some contractor come take care of invasives somewhere in Richmond, and that's what the board would approve.
I think that would be the case. I think the select board is the entity signing contracts and entering into financial agreements. I don't think you need to get too much into like some of the, you could see what Josh recommends as far as developing the proposals first, but I don't know if you need to go to the select board with the RFP first. I guess, I've looked at the templates you provided, and I would just, again, I would encourage you to see what these folks would recommend. So first thing off, I would say, I would recommend picking a place or two, not setting a arbitrary acreage. Whatever, volunteer screen, the over rocker parcel. Overrocker is it's a much higher quality floodplain forest. That definitely deserves attention. There's a number of invasive species there. Volunteers Green is much less of a healthy natural area, but it's a place that gets a lot of public attention. So, both are good reasons to bring some attention there. And then there are, other town properties that you could consider, but maybe pick one or two and go there. But I wouldn't set the acreage as much as the parcel itself.
Okay.
Would be a suggestion. And then things like if I could, I wouldn't recommend saying what specific control methods I see different ones for different recommendations for honeysuckle versus barberry versus knotweed. I would see what the professionals recommend and ask for a variety of control methods, rather than preemptively tell them what to do. Because I think you may learn a lot more about what makes sense and how to and what you have, and in the long run what you want to choose. Same with things like disposal. Ask them what they do, what they recommend as far as disposing cut materials. So in my experience, a lot of it can just be left where it is. And is less problematic that way. But see what, because you don't want to pay people to be hauling stuff away if it's not going to provide much benefit. But again, let's see what they recommend. But in general, I think the idea, going out, issuing an RFP and seeing what professionals will tell you will be a super benefit to the committee and to the Conservation Commission's planning.
I like this approach a lot. I would recommend that we choose 2 spots, the ones you named, the Volunteers Green and Overrocker, and keep the description in the beginning. Yeah, we'll keep it a little more general so that we can make our top priority to consult with whoever this person is and see what they recommend, maybe not just for one specific kind of invasive species, but if we pick like a certain section, and maybe John, you could help us with this at Overrocker, and maybe the whole length of Volunteers Green, where you've had the most intensive volunteer efforts with your restoration work, that those would be 2 really great projects to consult with someone with, and then we can kind of fill in the blanks about which ones we're going to target and which methods we're going to use, both to remove them and for disposal.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions. John, you're telling me, I think, that you know the identification of some of these companies and professionals. Can you give us some advice as to who we might contact? And then the other question is for Sam. Sam, is the Forest Committee doing anything about this?
Not at this time, because it may be soon, because I guess we didn't do ACFC updates in the meeting today, but I believe that we are really closing in on the end of the management plan. We finished the rec section yesterday, aside from a couple of very minor things. So my hope is that we will finish that, and then we can move on to all the other business in the forest. And so that is something that I'm aware of. I know there's a big bittersweet problem in like pretty close to the parking lot, and then it's elsewhere too. I found some really deep in like sort of the northern sections of the forest that I actually cut the berries off the plant, but the plant's still there. And then I think we might even have like a little patch of phragmites and some other stuff there too. So I think that, yeah, the town forest would be a great spot. By and large, much of it does not have very many invasives in it, but around the edges, it's pretty bad. So that would be a good spot to, chip away at and use as an example, maybe even for mapping too.
So John, do you have some places we should go?
Contractors?
Yeah.
I could ask some more. I just put in the chat a link to a list that the agriculture agency put together. It looks like it was dated about a year ago, with a bunch of Vermont invasive species plant control contractors. There are certainly others. The local county forester can also tell you who's working in the area.
Yeah, Brandon.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't know this might not be as helpful because I think it's a national thing. But there's the NRCS technical service provider registry, which I guess has like a bunch of, it's basically just a big registry of various types of services that you would want to employ people for, and then it'll give you recommendations. I don't know how granular that gets.
Well, you could certainly contact the local NRCS office. They're really helpful. They do provide a lot of money, spend a lot of money in the state, paying for invasive plant control on private properties through a number of their federal programs. So they can also give you some ideas, and I could ask some people who at work if they have a list of preferred contractors as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It seems like for some of the medium scale projects, engaging more local contractors would be ideal. And then if we have large scale projects that, a larger firm would be more appropriate, even if they're not based in the direct, Richmond area.
I certainly agreed. Yeah. The more local, usually the better. Yeah. And then the only other thing is, I think sort of the time frame, you probably want to make this like, let's say, if you want to make it a pilot project, maybe at least 3 years running. I mean, 1 year isn't going to tell you that much.
Yeah.
And if you're going to go through the trouble of working on this, 3 to 5 years of doing the work will have. Even if you went full bore, all out, trying to, both with volunteers and with professionals, it'll take years to clean up some of these places.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, that's all really good feedback.
And I'll say, to the extent that you're willing to do this, then some of the watershed control funds and NRCS funds may all be available to help with some of this, and they become your eligibility grows if you show you're putting up your own, the town's putting up cash too.
Yeah, got it. Okay. Yeah, I know. I saw the time. Yeah, so I do think we need to wrap up. I think next steps for this, though, we've got some good feedback from John, especially on these RFPs. I think that the next step would be to make some adjustments to these, like, sort of like combine or, basically take the RFPs that we have, the examples, and implement some of the recommendations that John mentioned. And then I can send that out to the committee, and then, maybe we talk about it some more. Like, people could comment on it, and then we could talk about it next meeting. And then we could basically, hopefully by the end of next meeting, maybe, combine the comments, or I can collect comments and then, publish a version for next meeting that we can go over, and then basically agree on this is like the boilerplate version we want to use. And then thank you so much for joining. Have a good night. And we'll be in touch. So yeah, I think that would be the next step here. I mean, I think for that boilerplate RFP, it's not, I think covering a next meeting would be fine.
And I'd be happy to help where I can if you need whatever, some help either editing or conceptualizing, or if you want me to check with the folks that I work with that also have to issue RFPs to get work done on state lands.
Yeah, so yeah, why don't I take a first pass using some of the feedback that you just gave, and then I can send that out to the commission, and then I'll include you as well, John. And then if anyone has individual comments on the state of that RFP, the boilerplate RFP after I've taken a pass at it, then I can just take all the comments and then integrate them, and then before our next meeting, I'll include that updated version in the packet, and then we can go over it together, I guess, with any additional comments. And then hopefully we'll have what we need, for that boilerplate, and then we can continue our conversation with Josh, and maybe we even talk about writing up our first couple of applications for, the Volunteers Green and or Overrockers.
So Sam, do you want me to just make a motion just to wrap this up?
To wrap this topic up or the whole meeting?
Yeah,
Are you-
this topic.
Sure. What was your motion for the?
I move that the Richmond Conservation Commission authorize working with Josh to draft a request for proposals for invasive plant management on town-owned land and to bring the final RFP to the select board for review and approval.
I like that, although as discussed before, I don't know if the final RFP, I think, is going to be RFP per project, right? And not necessarily that the select board needs to see the boilerplate RFP and approve it. And I think this can be an iterative process. So I like the idea of the motion, but I actually don't know if we need that quite yet. Like, I feel like we can move forward and work on this for the next meeting.
I just want to get official support from everybody in the group, and we haven't
Yeah.
heard from everyone, so.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I guess we can hear from folks on the call, but I don't know if we necessarily, need to vote on it, like as a motion. I guess it'd be nice to hear a couple comments from folks whether or not they feel like this is a good idea. But then I think we will be voting on actual RFPs targeted at places like Volunteers Green and Overrocker Park. But we can make a motion and vote on it too if that's what people prefer. But I don't think we need to present the boilerplate RFP to the select board, I guess is what I'm getting at.
I'm certainly for moving forward with this.
Yeah, I think it's a great
I
idea.
think it's a great idea, yeah.
I'm for,
Great. I'm definitely for it. How about you, Trevor?
I think we should. I don't know enough about this to know. Do we even, I guess, in making it more general, we just automatically specify like these invasives, or like I'm assuming that whoever's going to do a site visit, they'll look at it. So like
Could be they find more
like
than
they
one.
like I don't want to limit them, but like only do these. If they're like, you got a problem with this,
Yeah.
you did. I don't know. I just, in order to generalize the whole, does that make sense? I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
about this topic to know like I'm assuming this isn't a comprehensive list of the
It's-
invasives, but like how are those the most problematic that we would worry about?
Yeah, I think those will probably actually come out. Maybe we have a separate list of things, but it's going to be per site. So the intent here is to basically have something that can be filled in with a site. And maybe we can say like, here are the invasives that we are aware of and we think that you're going to be targeting, but you tell us, like if you do a site visit and you find that there's more invasive stuff we should be worried about, then we could ask for like a priority list, or here are the things that you identified and that you would take care of. So that's the kind of feedback that it would be really good. Once I do my pass, like later this week on the boilerplate RFP and send it back out, then everyone can basically give their comments and say like, hey, I like the way that this is set up, or what about X, Y, or Z. So
Okay, I just want to make sure I was on the right.
yeah.
'Cause I don't know much about this topic.
It's great. I mean, those are really good questions. So that's helpful. Any feedback is helpful.
But I think this is good to move forward. I also think I like the generalizing thing because then you can just site specific it when you need to. And
yeah,
but
exactly.
I think also letting the contractor, who's the expert more so, I think, like they can lead it somewhat. Because I'd want, like, if I was assuming I'm assuming they do site visits. I don't know, like if you're like, oh, you're gonna look at this large area without doing work for some thousands amount without ever looking at it first. I would think they'd look at it.
Yeah,
I'd want them to tell us like if there's a problem that we weren't aware of and not just limit it to the scope of what's in the RFP. If we say this is what we gotta do, I'd want like suggestions that might not be something we thought of.
Yeah, it might depend on the firm, like, but
Yeah, I don't know
I
how-
would imagine that if I were putting in a bid for, for a town, for some work, I don't know, some businesses may actually do a site visit and some of them may just fill out, an application to do the work. And that might be a deciding factor in,
Yeah,
which bid we would move forward with. If somebody came to the town and checked out the plot and identified some stuff and, then we might be more likely to go with them because they took things seriously. But there's a lot of factors,
yeah,
right? Experience, price and whatever else. But that's all, yeah, that's good. So it sounds like we're all on board with this
Yeah.
though, right? So
Thanks.
Mhm.
great. So I think that I'll take a pass and then I'll send it out to everybody and then you can send comments and we'll plan on talking about this more next meeting. But for now, we are 13 minutes over, so I think we should probably close things out. So I guess if there's any lingering business for upcoming meetings, but I think we can probably work that out unless somebody has anything specific. Okay, great. Well, yeah, the next meeting I believe is going to be on February 10th. And and so if we could just get a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, and a second?
second.
Okay, Kit motions, Trevor seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Meeting in.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody. Have a good night.
Great evening.
Good meeting.
Good meeting.
Yeah, see everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.